Welcome everybody to session two of Panther Preview. My name is Justin Koppelman. I'm an Associate Director of Student Engagement here at the university. Thanks so much for joining us for this session. I, along with two other students, are going to be highlighting some of the involvement opportunities that are available at Chapman. And the students will also share a bit about their own specific involvement journeys and how that has contributed to their overall Chapman experience. As questions come to mind, please submit them via the Q&A function. We'll answer some directly via the Q&A function. We'll also answer some live. But before we get to talking about specific areas of involvement, I first want to talk some more about why involvement itself is important. We know that your primary focus in college is going to be on your academics, but we also know how important it is to be involved beyond the classroom because of how significant that involvement can be when it comes to your overall success in college. Research on college students or with college students about college students over at least the past 20 to 30 years has really confirmed time and time again that students who are involved in the university experience beyond the classroom end up having higher GPAs, they end up developing stronger transferable skills for their career and professional preparation. They exhibit a higher degree of overall satisfaction with the college experience that they had. Their networks with faculty and community business leaders are a lot wider and a lot stronger. And all of that is largely because through involvement, students create the meaningful friendships with other students who share similar interests and academic pursuits, probably the kinds of friendships that you already are experiencing prior to your time at Chapman. And it's those relationships with peers really that have the strongest influence on both what you know about college and what you experience in college. We also know that when it comes to staying in college and ultimately completing the college experience, those who are actively engaged in meaningful activities, both inside and outside the classroom, are more likely than their peers to persist through graduation. And some research suggests that it's actually involvement beyond the classroom that can be the single most significant predictor of your persistence through your college experience. So in addition to just having the general higher GPA, in addition to the transferable skills, in addition to that greater and wider network, involvement has also been demonstrated to help ensure that you ultimately graduate. On the flip side of that research, we also know that most students discontinue their time in college because they feel disconnected from their peers, from professors, from administrators at the institution. And they feel disconnected when they haven't been able to develop enough meaningful relationships with others at the institution, or when they feel generally, just like they're not a member of it. So when we talk about involvement opportunities at Chapman, we want you to not only hear us tell you that those involvement opportunities are made available to help you become a member of the Chapman family. We also want you ultimately to feel a sense of that membership and feel that you belong to it. And again, to help facilitate that sense of membership and sense of belonging, we really want to encourage you to get integrated into both the academic experiences that Chapman has to offer, as well as the social communities within the larger Chapman family. In addition to that, I'll just say, and I can't stress this enough, that the impact of your college experience is largely going to be determined by your own individual effort and involvement in the academic, interpersonal, co-curricular opportunities that Chapman has to offer. It's very much our responsibility as faculty and staff to make sure that you have good opportunities to take advantage of, and it's then going to be your responsibility to have that extra meeting with the faculty member during or outside of their office hours, to join one or a couple student organizations, to attend a student leadership conference, to attend some program to build a sense of community at the university. But it's our job, and we're going to be talking about our job a little bit when it comes to the things that we provide to help facilitate your involvement at the university. Much of what we'll review briefly is opportunities that fall under the Department of Student Engagement. We'll also talk about the Student Government Association and the University Program Board at the end, which are two entirely student-run and student-led initiatives. First thing we're going to highlight is the Argis Forum Student Union. You should see 4 different images of the interior of the union on your screen. We think of the student union as basically the living room of campus. Through that facility, we provide different events and resources and services that are all ultimately designed to foster a greater sense of belonging and community for students. The facility itself is comprised of open lounge spaces and reservable rooms for individual students and student organizations. When it's open, the union offers services like free laptop rentals. We have an Amazon locker in the student union. We have technology charging stations. We also have 4 different retail dining options, including Jamba Juice, Einstein's Brothers Bagels, Qdoba, and a Subway type sandwich venue. The student union is open Sunday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So it's open before you start class and all the way up until you end class. So we really mean it as a living room because it's open the whole time that you're at the university taking classes. If you'd like to follow the student union on Instagram, there's a specific account for that, Chapman Student Union. I encourage you to start following that now so it can help you get familiar with what the union has to offer. The next area of involvement we'll cover is civic engagement initiatives. This team is tasked with the responsibility of generally inspiring students to see themselves as a part of the larger social fabric and to be informed and active citizens of local, national, global communities beyond the Chapman campus. Whether it's through community service experiences, voter registration and education efforts, or different events featuring speakers or panelists or conversations about different issues affecting society, the team really strives to help students further develop their knowledge, skills, motivations that are needed for responsible engagement in our world. One cool thing to note is this team has helped the university receive a designation as a voter-friendly campus for the 3rd time. Regardless of your politics, the team works really hard to make sure that you have what you need in order to participate in elections, whether those be local or national. We also have a cross-cultural center at the university, and the cross-cultural center is designed to be used by and enhance the development generally of all Chapman students to help them gain greater insights into their own identities, develop a stronger sense of empathy and connection with others' experiences, and use their learning at the institution to help create a more positive and inclusive campus environment overall. Throughout the year, the team coordinates and designs programs and services that are intended to expose all students to diverse ideas and perspectives, certainly affirm the value of students from underrepresented communities, and support students in their pursuit of, self-authorship more generally. This team coordinates throughout the year Heritage Month events, different diversity and empathy building retreats, and 6 different cultural graduation ceremonies. Cross Cultural Center also has its own Instagram account. If you'd like to start following that team, you can follow them at Chapman Cross Cultural. Fitness and Recreation Services is a team that manages 3 different fitness facilities at Chapman. We have 2 fitness centers and 1 indoor rock wall. The team coordinates programs, events, and services both in person on campus, as well as online and throughout Southern California, all of which are meant to enhance the student experience, specifically by promoting healthy lifestyles and creating opportunities for interaction and community building around fitness and recreation. The Henley Hall Fitness Center is in the basement of the Henley Hall Residence Facility. It's a fitness center that's only open to students. It's a 6,000 square foot facility. It's got an indoor cycling room for spin classes. It's got a multi-purpose room for group fitness classes. It's also got various cardio and weight equipment. In addition to coordinating fitness classes in person, the team also coordinates group fitness classes live. They can be streamed virtually. You also have the option of accessing fitness classes on demand if you'd like to do it on your own. Fitness and Rec also has their own Instagram account. You can follow them at Chapman Fit Rec if you'd like to learn more about that team and the services it offers. Fraternity and sorority life at the university strives to create generally a fun and inclusive environment for students, particularly to grow through academic achievement, philanthropic and service experiences, leadership roles and development, and other social and professional events. Joining a fraternity or sorority during your time at the university can add a lot of value to your overall college experience. We have 8 different national sororities that are recognized at Chapman and 10 different international fraternities. Each of those chapters is really unique. They foster friendships, connections, and involvement in all kinds of different ways. Lastly, student organizations. So I will say you can also follow Chapman Greek Life on Instagram if you'd like. In student organizations, we have currently approximately 150 different recognized student organizations who are active in this virtual world. Before we went virtual, we had over 200 different student organizations recognized at Chapman. So relative to our overall student population, we have a lot of organizations you can join. By becoming involved with a club or a student org, you're obviously going to meet more peers with similar interests. If it's an academic or professional org, you can gain different knowledge and skills that are relevant to that academic or career path, maybe deepen your connection to that field of study. There are also leisure, recreation, performance, arts, civic engagement, diversity, cultural, all kinds of different student org categories. We know after this session there's going to be a club hop, so we won't spend too much time focusing on that, but know that student organizations are a really big part of student involvement, and they're all student-led and student-initiated. If you want to follow some other accounts, you can follow Life at CU on Instagram or Facebook. That's a general student involvement account. It'll connect you with other Instagram accounts or Facebook accounts for different units at the university that coordinate involvement opportunities. Two things we'll highlight before we move into hearing from our students today. The Student Government Association is the formal advocacy body of students for students. It's dedicated to making a positive change on Chapman's campus in any area of it, as long as it makes the student's experience better. Their job is to advocate for student needs and concerns, to improve every aspect of the student experience so that students have more immersive, more successful experiences and reflections on their time at the university. There are some Senate positions that are left open at the beginning of every fall semester. So if you're interested in joining the Student Government Association, maybe as a senator, you will have the opportunity to run for a senator seat. One of the students who will be talking today, Rachel, is a member of SGA. So if you have specific questions about that organization, you have an expert here with you. And lastly, the University Program Board is the primary programming body for students at the university. They coordinate really all kinds of different events, from small-scale social excursions. They bring in celebrity speakers with lots of name recognition. They also coordinate a really large annual fall concert at an off-campus concert venue that draws thousands of students to it. The University Program Board has a number of committees that you'll be able to join when you enter as a student. So if you're interested in just making kind of the out-of-classroom experience a fun one and helping students build friendships and relationships through a more social environment, University Program Board might be something that you'd be interested in. And lucky for you, we also have an expert on the University Program Board in the room today. If you have questions about this, you might want to ask them to Dylan. So that's an overview of different areas of involvement that the Department of Student Engagement offers, quick intro to the Student Government Association and the University Program Board. Before we head into hearing from the students, I'll just emphasize the importance of involvement on your overall success at the university. We encourage you not to think of it as an afterthought or a side part of the university experience, but as an important and integral part of the experience that contributes in meaningful ways to your success. I'll ask Dylan first and then Rachel to share a little bit about your own involvement journeys and how that's contributed to your experience.
Yes, hi everybody. Thank you, Justin. I am a communication major with a minor in image text interface, and I'm currently in my last semester at Chapman as a senior. I started out getting really involved in academia and just extracurriculars back in high school when I was in student council, and I did a lot of stuff with rallies and different event planning related to that. And that kind of led on into college in my freshman year when I joined UPB as a committee member. And so as a committee member, you're not just like helping to I said this in the previous session, you're not just standing in the corner, just guarding something. You're not just like watching and doing crowd control. You're also doing stuff behind the scenes. You're providing feedback. You're offering your ideas. You can volunteer to take on a more leader role in the event as like an event lead. So I did a lot of that and I really enjoyed it. And that's like freshman year is the perfect time to do all that kind of stuff, is kind of try out everything. You do kind of get exhausted if you don't learn to say no later on in the future, because everyone has a finite amount of time, and you can get involved in a lot of things, but definitely get involved in stuff that you're willing to put your passion and your energy into, and not something that becomes like a chore later on. UPB was one of the things where I put in a lot of passion, a lot of time, because I really enjoyed it. And that was one of the few things that I really wanted to continue. So sophomore year, I applied to be a marketing director because I wanted to go in marketing at the time. And I figured that was a really good opportunity. Eventually, within like a couple weeks or a month, I became the chair of UPB because the position was open. So I ended up leading the team of directors who were planning all these sorts of events like the fall concert that Justin had mentioned, or like smaller things like off-campus trips where we take students to different areas around Southern California, or even um, like we have different events like free succulents where you can just come in and learn more about how to take care of succulents and sustainability. So there's a lot of different events that UPB plans, and I had the really good opportunity to help and support all these directors who were planning them. I also was kind of the liaison for students and for the university. I would meet with our Dean of Students, Dean Price, every month to kind of communicate with him on these different events, any suggestions he had, what I thought was my ideas and my own opinions about different events that were occurring. So UPB, it has a lot of avenues of opportunity, whether you're just a committee member, a director, graphic design assistant, or just a chair. A lot of great opportunities. And in junior year, I applied to be a student organization assistant, partially because I wanted to still kind of pursue event planning, but also I wanted to have a wider reach on the Chapman community rather than just focus specifically on UPB. While UPB does have, university-wide reach, I wanted to influence and help support different student organizations specifically. So in my case, I help out with performance and art and fitness and recreation student organizations, and I help them plan events. I help them go through university policy. I offer them resources. There's a lot of these different, communication and connecting with all these different people, whether it be students, faculty, or staff, or off-campus vendors or anything like that. All those are going to be useful skills you learn. If you learn it now, you're going to have an easier time later on in life, whether that be through your career, hobbies, whatever you like. So um, after that, I also became involved in my school communication student advisory board. And I wanted to kind of offer my own feedback on how my school is going, and what we could do better, what we could help students improve on the academic side. So you don't just have to get involved in strictly extracurriculars. You can also get involved into academic side, whether that be your own major. If you wanted to help out with the general school, I think there's like a provost council or something. Um, so a lot of opportunities. Freshman year is a great time to explore those opportunities, or first year. And going into sophomore year, junior year, that's kind of the time where you can kind of refine things, focus on what you want to put your energy to and what you want to potentially do in the future, or just, you want to try it out. So don't be afraid to try out different things.
Thanks, Dylan. Rachel, how about you?
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel. I am a first-year student here at Chapman, majoring in health sciences, and I also have minors in psychology in our university honors program. I think what I'm going to do is start with a very long, boring list of all the things I've been involved with. And I don't mean to do this as like, oh, look at how many things I do. So that's not the point. I really say this for you all to see how achievable and doable it is to really involve yourself quite immensely, even as a freshman. So I'll begin my list now. In terms of leadership involvements, I work as a tour guide in the Office of Admission, serve as the lower classman senator on our Student Government Association. I'm a Chapman ambassador, a representative on our Provost Student Advisory Board. In terms of the STEM community, I hold positions on our Be Positive Childhood Cancer Foundation Club, American Cancer Society Club, Women in Science and Technology Club, Global Medical Brigades, our Chapman STEM Tours, American Chemical Society, and I work with the social media team for my college, which is the Korean College of Health and Behavioral Sciences. In Greek life, I'm part of an academic honor society, which is the Tri Beta Biology Society. And I'm also part of a service fraternity. And then in terms of more like leisurely involvements, I'm involved with our Fish Interfaith Council, a Chapman TAP group, a hip hop dance team, our Iranian student cultural organization, university honors program, and I also have an on-campus internship. So that was a lot of words, I'm aware, but what does any of it mean? I think that involvement is really crucial to any college experience. And here's my take on it. you can take classes anywhere, but you can't be a part of the Chapman community anywhere. And this is really your gateway to that community, is being involved. As you start to spread yourself out across these different facets of campus life, you find your people and you find an additional home within Chapman, probably make some of the best friends and connections that you may not have met otherwise, especially being in this virtual setting. As a first year student, being involved has been like a saving grace in a world where disconnect is the new normal. For example, one of my friends, who now I would take a metaphoric bullet for, is someone in a completely different grade, completely different major, entirely different college for that matter. But we met through being involved as tour guides, and we connected through our drive for leadership that brought us into that position in the first place. So there's a lot of amazing connections that you'll make that really you have to find through getting involved. And then I think more than anything, at least for me, your involvements add so much depth and meaning to your academic experience, which I've absolutely loved. And I'll give another example. I want to be a physical therapist, and in order to get there, while in undergrad, I have to take a molecular biology class, which is fine. It's a fine class. I like science. I enjoyed it. But sometimes you can think to yourself, like, why am I taking this? You know, and 7 years from now, when someone comes into my clinic and says, I have a torn ACL, do I need to know the function of a ribosome? And the answer is no, not at all. But, you know, then after I take this class, I go to an event with the Chapman STEM Tours Club, and we host an educational science night with middle schoolers in underserved communities in Orange. We do an interactive science activity, extracting DNA from strawberries. And we talk all about the molecular biology behind how it works. We teach these kids something new, inspire them to pursue science as a career. And it's in these moments where everything that you do in class comes to life and you apply it to the real world. And your involvements are just such a beautiful way of facilitating that application. So I've really found myself drawing so many connections between my academics and my extracurriculars, and using them not as separate entities, but rather as interconnected ones to like uplift each other and enhance both of those experiences, which has been awesome. And lastly, I also found that involvements just give a lot of room for personal growth and comfort. Another example, I danced all my life growing up, and it wasn't something I was ready to give up in college, but I knew I couldn't pursue it as a major or a minor. So being able to still be connected to that part of my identity through, you know, open and welcoming dance clubs was just so incredible for me, and it meant so much. And I know a lot of students who find comfort in those things, because obviously I think a lot of us have a lot of interests and passions, but it doesn't always mean that those are going to be our careers. So still having ways to engage in those things that you absolutely love, just can't always major in, is incredible. And it's just so much fun. That's really what getting involved in. It's fun. So at the end of the day, it's what you make of it. I can guarantee you that there's something here for you that you will be interested in. It's waiting for you to get involved with, and the benefits are endless. I know that was a lot of words, and I hope it was mildly coherent, because my thoughts on the matter are pretty jumbled, and I could talk about what getting involved means to me, but I could talk about it for a long time. But I truly cannot speak highly enough of the impact that being involved can make on your personal, your academic, your social success and growth. So when you get here, do it, join that club. You will not regret it. I know I have not regretted it for a single second.
Wonderful. Thank you both. I mentioned this in the last session, but everyone here can see why Dylan and Rachel are with us today. Yes, that's good advice to share and experience to share. I am looking at the Q&A at the moment, and there's two questions specifically that I think I might jump in and answer. Kelly asked if Chapman has any recreation facilities off campus, for example, something at the beach. And I will say that our fitness centers are all on campus. The rock wall is on campus, but the fitness and recreation services team does coordinate off-campus recreation experiences. So there might be things like hikes or paddleboarding. We do have a crew team at the university. So if you're really interested in something I know it's not something beach oriented, you might want to consider joining Chapman Crew. They do operate out of a facility near Newport Beach. I am not entirely sure if it's completely owned by Chapman or a shared thing, but that's another beach-oriented involvement opportunity, particularly within athletics, that came to mind for me. And I work with the Fitness and Recreation Services team, so if there are other recreation opportunities that you'd be interested in seeing Chapman offer, the team's always open to any ideas that you might have. Another question that I'll answer from Joseph. He asked if there's any way to get involved early in student organizations and meet other class of 2025 students. I will add a link in the chat to our student organization platform, which you would be able to access even if you're not technically currently a student. That'll give you contact information for all of the recognized student organizations that Chapman has to offer. You can contact their president and maybe even some of the other executive officers directly to find out if they're hosting any upcoming, programs or meetings that would be open to incoming students. A lot of the programs that Chapman has hosted virtually have not been limited to current students. So I would be surprised if you reached out to some student organizations and they weren't having something that you'd be able to join and participate in. So I'll add a link to that platform in the chat in a moment so that everyone has access to that. You can also, in this next portion of Panther Preview, talk with staff who work with different student organizations to get some more concrete information about that. Let me look through some of these questions. Okay. I see a lot that are oriented around student organizations, which is pretty cool because we have so many in fraternity and sorority life. Since we have a whole club hop portion coming up, I might hold off on those and maybe zero in a little bit on this question about helping students from out of state settle in both socially and academically. That is a really, really good question and a really important question that I remember. I was even in state when I went to college and I was still nervous about finding my place in a new environment. The Residence Life and First Year Experience team are kind of the go-to folks for that, for helping to make sure that the transition from high school or pre-college into college is one that is successful, is one that gets your questions answered, one that helps you connect with other peers to build some friendships and relationships that will sustain you through your time at Chapman. There are some, actually, during orientation, some regional specific socials and meals. So if you're from the East Coast, at some point during orientation, you'll be able to connect with other students, specifically from the East Coast region, in a more casual social sort of environment. The Student Union has also coordinated some regionally specific socials after orientation to help continue that sort of connection. So if there's some, regional experiences or just different aspects of the East Coast culture that you're looking to try to connect with on the West Coast in Orange County, California, new student orientation is definitely going to be something to pay attention to, so you can find out when and where those opportunities to connect with other students in your region are taking place. You also always have direct access to your orientation leader and the full-time Residence Life and First Year Experience staff to help you facilitate more connections if you want more than what you got at orientation. I think the other kind of student staff and full-time staff that work with involvement opportunities more generally would be more than happy to sit with you one-on-one and talk about other interests you have to help connect with some other peers. You might also want to possibly consider working for a university department, which would put you right into an environment, working with other undergraduate students, working with other possibly graduate students, definitely full-time staff at the university, which would be another kind of integrated element of your first year experience that might help you find some of those connections and settle in at the university a bit more. You get some direct connections to the administration and staff at the university that could maybe provide you some more context and information about resources that Chapman offers that you might miss during orientation or you might not otherwise get. I will also highlight, if you have a concern about finding your place and settling in, the We See You mentorship program is coordinated by the Cross-Cultural Center, Residence Life and First Year Experience, and our Promising Futures program for first-generation college students. Applications for that will also open up in the summer. You'll receive communication from the orientation team about that. The We See You mentorship program will connect you directly with a Chapman faculty and staff to support you in whatever way you need support. If it's general socialization and settling into the university, we'll connect you with someone who can help you directly with that. If you're more concerned about getting settled and feeling prepared for your academic experiences, we'll be sure to connect you with a faculty in that field of study to help you with that. If you're more interested in kind of just understanding the diversity and the environment around campus climate at the university, and you have some wondering or some questions about how your experience will be with that, we'll connect you with some faculty or staff in the Cross-Cultural Center or some of the diversity minors or staff who work on the Chapman Diversity Project. The We See You mentorship program might be something to pay attention to in the upcoming communication from the orientation team. Looking through the Q&A some more here. Another question about, yes, there's some more questions about student orgs and Greek life. And again, if it's all right, we'll just pause on those since there's an opportunity to get more specific information about those in the Club Hop. Miles asked the question, besides the first generation summer program, is there a general freshman orientation program over summer? And I will just affirm that, yes, there is a general freshman orientation program. It's in summer, but it's right before the start of the fall semester. There are actually 3 retreats that happen before that new student orientation. Collectively, they're called the Emerging Leaders Program. One retreat focuses on general leadership development and leadership skills. Another retreat focuses on civic and community engagement in the local communities around the university. And the third retreat focuses on identity and diversity and inclusion topics. So if you want to get an even earlier start on your Chapman experience than what you would get in the official general first year orientation program, you might consider applying for one of those Emerging Leaders retreats. Applications for those are scheduled to open in June, and they take place between 2 or 3 days before new student orientation starts. They're smaller in scale in terms of the number of students who are involved, so it represents a nice opportunity to get to know a small group of students before the big orientation begins. Dylan and Rachel, are you seeing any questions that you might want to respond to live? I don't want to.
Yeah, there was one about the business major specific organizations. You can actually head over to the Club Hunt soon, and there is a section where you can chat with a student organization assistant who is specific about academic and professional organizations, and she'll have like a whole list of business major specific orgs and fraternities. So I was just about to answer with a list, but I feel like it would be better if you chatted with her so she has a bit more experience with it.
I can also answer one quickly about finding more about clubs. Yeah, some of the names are a little bit ambiguous, but I know if you just search up like the name of the club and Chapman, our Engage page, which is just a platform that we use for a lot of our organizations, will come up, and that will have a much more detailed description of the club. Or if you find them on social media, that will also probably come up in a quick Google search, and that will give you much better information than just the title of their club.
Thank you both. I'm looking at our time. We have a couple more minutes in this session. I noticed one question that isn't specific to student orgs, so I might give my thoughts on that as a staff member, actually an alumni, former student at the university. But Dylan and Rachel, if you wanted to add anything as students, because it's a question about students' experiences at the university, please feel free. But one person asked if students feel that Chapman is a diverse school. And I think that's a really important question to consider as you're thinking through your options when it comes to the college experience. And I think that's going to vary. I think we have students who do feel Chapman is a diverse school, and we have students who identify ways that Chapman can be more diverse. So to answer that with one answer, I think would be a little bit complicated. We do have a range of student experiences when it comes to the diversity of the university. At Chapman, I do think we really strive to encourage everyone to consider various aspects of diversity, many different social identities that people hold, whether it be racial or ethnic diversity, sexual orientation diversity, disability identity, faith, spiritual, religious identity, and affiliation. We really, in different units like the Fish Interfaith Center, Cross-Cultural Center, different diversity-specific minors, an institutional effort called the Chapman Diversity Project, which involves faculty, staff, and students working together on identifying specific tangible areas that the university can progress when it comes to diversity and inclusion. We do provide, I would say, a number of functional opportunities for students to get involved, to find a sense of community with other students who share similar identities and experiences, and for students to be able to participate in the university's growth and development when it comes to creating a continually more inclusive environment. So we try our best to make sure that there's experiences for students to contribute to that. We do our best to make sure that students have opportunities to see themselves at the university. And when it comes down to it, at the same time, do students feel that Chapman is a diverse school? It's really going to depend upon an individual student's experience. We do our best to reaffirm that Chapman is, though, committed to affirming all students at the university, creating an environment of inclusion. So I don't know if Dylan or Rachel, if you have anything that you might want to add or any other perspective or insights from your own experience as a student, since that question was about students' perceptions.
Yeah, I can add a little bit on that. I agree with all the things that Justin just said. I like to think of diversity in multiple ways. I think there's a lot of different layers of diversity and different types of diversity. And so while we may not have the most, let's say, ethnically diverse school, I think diversity just manifests itself in several different ways. And so I look at what type of religious diversity we have here. There's diversity of thought and diversity of background, with like our international students and things of that nature. So I think there are a lot of really unique identities here, and a lot of unique perspectives that we all grow and benefit from. So there is no one size fits all when it comes to diversity. There isn't. It's all encompassing of a lot of different factors, and I think that we do strive in some of those things, and in other aspects of it, we do have room for growth. So kind of just echoing what Justin said.
All right, I noticed that we are past time for this session number 2. If any of the questions that you have are left unanswered, please do reach out to our awesome admission team. By chance, if you want to connect with me directly, you're welcome to email me at jkoppel@chapman.edu. You'll see a couple of us in the Club Hop portion of this event coming up next. Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope that we shared a good amount of information about involvement opportunities that piqued your interest at Chapman, and we wish you all the best for the rest of your weekend. All right, have a good day, everybody.